Good morning, fellow adventure junkies. Super stoked this morning. We drove about 4 hours to visit some of these northern logging roads. And oh, look at that. Right away, there's a logging truck. If you're ever exploring some of these roads, do be careful because there's not a lot of room and these guys do move pretty quickly. My two boys are taking the lead here in the side-by-side. And just as a note here, all these roads are surrounded by what's known as crown land. These are public lands, and they're generally free for use, but you can't do absolutely anything you want. There are some limitations, but things like camping, riding, fishing are all allowed, and I'm looking forward to exploring as much of these millions of acres that we can. Not sure if you can see it up here, but there's a trail coming up on the right, and I'm so impressed as to how many trails just branch off this logging road here. It feels like I could spend weeks just trying to investigate all of these things. Okay, so this area is known as the Canadian Shield, and the Canadian Shield is some bedrock from below the surface that was pushed up millions of years ago, and we're hoping to find some trails that we can conquer, and also noticed a lot of nice beautiful lakes and rivers and rocky areas to fish. So we're hoping to bring back our fishing rods, and we have another crew coming. Hopefully we'll get some filming in, but I'm not sure. We also did find a really neat campsite here, but somebody had already beat us to it, so we got to find another place to eat our lunch. After running into some of the locals, we decided to take a trail that they recommended that was a really good mix of trail riding with some half-decent scenery. It certainly did not disappoint. There were some good lake views, some whoops, some minor rock climbs, a lot of turnoffs where we can go and explore, and some fast riding areas. We're certainly happy we took their advice, as we did spend a fair bit of time on this part of the trail and had an absolute blast riding up and down the hills and blasting down the trail. Just a great afternoon of riding. We did investigate some of these side trails, and in some cases they didn't lead up to anything, but in some cases, like this one here, we found just a wide open pit, so we opened up the throttle a little bit, hit the bumps pretty hard, had a few good grins, and then continued on our way for the rest of the trip. One of the turnoffs we found led us to an amazing crystal clear lake in this area here. Well, one of our cameras died, but we did find this amazing and secluded campsite on some remote lake. Just absolutely beautiful out here. Boys, how'd you enjoy the ride?
Great. Yeah, pretty fun.
How'd you like these trails? A little different, eh? A little bit of everything?
Yeah.
No mud.
Really.
It's kind of good and it kind of isn't, but lots of rocks, man. Those rocks are going crazy, and then a lot of dust too. But this campsite, like, absolutely out of this world. Check that out. Like, check that out. Nice and quiet. Listen. When's the last time you heard that, guys? Been a while. All right, we're going to stop and have we got a little snack here. Gonna have a couple sandwiches and then drink, and then head on out. So the kids and I poked around this beautiful campsite for a little while, had a nice lunch, sat back, had a drink, took it all in for a bit, and then we made our way back to the lodge because we had another group coming in for tomorrow's festivities, which was to do a little bit of riding and maybe even a little bit of fishing. Well, day 2 started with the promise of rain and a guarantee of thunder showers later in the day. So we were out on those same roads, just showing some of those spots we found, just looking for any place where we might be able to throw a fishing line in and hopefully catch a couple of fish. So we rode around with the crew, checked out some of our spots, and eventually did find somewhere to fish.
Yeah, I know what you're saying.
Yeah. We searched around any deep water we could find, any bridge, culvert, or opening that we could fish. We did try, but weren't met with a whole lot of luck, even though it looked promising. We did, however, find this one last spot, and we did manage to catch a bunch of perch, which was wonderful. They weren't super big, but they were definitely big enough to eat, so we made a pretty hearty fish stew that night and fried a few of them up. It was absolutely delicious. Well, we were getting pretty lucky with the weather, or so we thought. We were having a pretty good time and just kind of forgot that there was a thunderstorm warning, a severe thunderstorm warning, in fact,
for the area we were in, and it was right on top of us. And this video may not be doing it justice, but trust me, we were getting absolutely pelted by the rain, so we were moving at a fairly good clip because we wanted to get home, beat the thunderstorms and lightning or whatever else was coming. There were definitely some high winds on this ride back, but all in all, it was a pretty good adventure, and we had a lot of fun. Well, the thunderstorms put a quick end to our fishing and ATVing ride, but let me tell you, we had a blast. If you're ever up in this area, this is the west end of Algonquin Park. Not in the park itself, of course, but we just kind of got a map, looked at some of the logging roads, and just went up there and made our own adventure, had some fun, brought some fishing rods. The kids absolutely loved it, talked about it for days, and they're wondering when the next trip is again. Of course, as you can see here, it's a dusty trip, so make sure you're prepared for that if you want to wear masks. Be careful of the logging trucks. As you saw, they do come around at a pretty good clip. And most of all, don't forget your sense of adventure and have some fun.